It's funny we bring up Wisconsin and Green Bay because apparently...
Why is that? They don't want that tush push, huh?
Yeah, they're the team that went to the league and said, yeah, can we ban this? So here we go. Not that surprising considering Mark Murphy in his mailbag a few weeks ago talked about his displeasure for the tush push, that it doesn't look like a football play, but at least the wheels are in motion from one team who reportedly is the Packers that they would like this play no longer to be allowed in the NFL. So there's the latest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. What do we have any idea as to why the Green Bay Packers would be the team that is so passionate about getting it banned? Would there be any correlation?
They tried to submit this under anonymity, right? They didn't want people to know they were submitting this, and then this got out that it was the Packers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So they tried to not be the team that's like, hey, we've got an issue with this, but I would imagine there's three things they're trying to target to get rid of it. The first is player safety. That's always something that, if you look for change in the NFL, that's usually how it comes about. It's player safety. It's why the kickoff now is a disaster, and they're probably contemplating the 4th and 15 idea now, which I also heard, as opposed to the onside kicks, because it's now quite predictable, and maybe they feel like they've actually got a better chance to convert a 4th and 15. But I digress. That was born out of player safety for kickoffs. So in this instance, you'd have to say, and we talked about this too, with what Washington did versus Philly, where there's a Frankie Louvu who kept jumping over the pile.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was thinking to myself, all right, it's not safe for Frankie Louvu to do that. You can't tell me it's safe for the linemen the way they're, going, pushing into each other and everything else with the way their head and neck is. We just haven't had a serious injury yet. That doesn't mean it's not going to happen. So I'm sure there's going to be some challenge to the safety of the play and all involved. The next thing is it doesn't look like any other play we have in football. And that's something that you kind of look at it and go, all right, are we allowing something purely because the officials couldn't do their job well enough? When I reached out to Dean Blandino, that was the explanation that I got, was the officials didn't feel like they could appropriately officiate anytime an offensive player is pushing another offensive player, which seems a bit ridiculous in today's world, especially with replay, where you would be able to see something like this. So I would kind of challenge that theory if that's one of the reasons why the officials are saying, well, we're allowing it because we kind of allowed it in the past because we couldn't see it and officiate it well enough. Okay. Sounds like you need to do a better job. And then the third part that they'll probably most likely point to is it's a play that's so greatly in the advantage to the offense that I think the success rate now we read earlier this year was like 70%. And that's for all teams. Now, Philly's the best at doing it, and they're like 73, 74. But most teams, when they utilize that, are above 70% success rate. So it then leads you to three potential issues that you're facing from a competitive standpoint, a safety standpoint, and then overall just looking at saying, like, we're in a day and age where we could say, like, let's make this reviewable. If we feel like a player was pushed or advantaged, and that used to be a rule, and we took it out because we feel like the 7 guys on the field can't see it well enough, then go find an 8th ref that just looks for that, or use replay to be able to see it. It's not like we don't have an assortment of cameras to see this sort of thing. So I think ultimately there will come a time where this is removed from the league. I don't have a dog in the fight either way. I'm just trying to explain to you why the rationale why I think Green Bay and other teams will try to get rid of it.
I just don't understand when it became okay to push guys in the back.
You know who thought of the play? I read this, Anthony Barr from the Vikings.
The linebacker.
Yeah, kind of threw it out as an idea. And then Sirianni used it in Indianapolis and then brought it to Philly.
I just don't understand why you're allowed to push guys in the back. First off, there's the player safety element of it. Why are you pushing another guy in the back? Because this happens now. A guy could be running, which I find it to be so extraordinarily funny when I hear a guy calling the game say, "Oh, look at the power! Look at his drive."
That never say die attitude.
They can't stop him. Look at him, and you got 200-300-pound dudes pushing them and dragging them. Like, what are you looking at, dude? But I don't understand the idea of being able to push the guy. It wasn't a part of the game when I played. I just don't understand when that became okay to run up on, like, your running back they've made contact with your running back. They've made contact with your quarterback or your receiver. And here comes an offensive lineman or somebody, and instead of, I don't know, waiting to help him up, you're pushing him in the back. Like, you're literally grabbing him and trying to pull him or hitting him in his pads or in his back and trying to push him through the tacklers for more yards. I just don't understand when that became commonplace for the game. Because to me, if that were taken away and taken out of the game, then of course you can police a play like that, because you shouldn't. If he goes down, if the quarterback goes down and finds an entry through the line of scrimmage, or they push the line of scrimmage back, the offensive line, then it is what it is. I think where it gets complex and it kind of gets out of the realm of it doesn't look like a regular football play, it doesn't seem to make sense, is the guys pushing behind. Like, I just don't understand how you just load up and we're just going to push the front, we're going to knife the front, we're going to push from behind, and we're going to outstrength your strength on the other side by pushing our guy through. Like, I don't buy that. I don't subscribe to that. I don't think it's safe, for one. And for two, I don't think it makes sense. That just doesn't make logical sense to me, that guys are allowed to get pushed and pulled. It doesn't make sense to me.
That is just from an optics standpoint, and that's, Brady mentioned this earlier, that doesn't resemble football at any point during the game.
I mean, rugby, you get to do it in rugby.
Yeah, but
you're getting scrums and stuff like that, and you're pushing and guys are pushing, but that's different rules.
There's a sport for that.
Yes, we're not rugby, and it's not. There shouldn't be. If you're going to have a push, it shouldn't be a true scrum. That's really a true scrum.
I don't.
What happened to the old quarterback sneak? That's what I want to know. All right. Like, I didn't need someone to push me in order to go forward and get a first down. Tom Brady used that forever. He didn't need
never got
push
stopped.
him to move forward.
They never stopped him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand that part of it. Like, why are you pushing the guy? Like, I just don't get it. That's the biggest, to me, that's the biggest, most egregious part,
by the way,
of the play.
Philly fans are going to take issue with this. You guys know this, right? Because they're Philly fans. That's what they're going to do. But the reality is, as Jonas, you just pointed out, I want you to say again the history of the actual play, because most think like Philly invented it. It's like, well, not quite. Not quite. This actually started before that.
They might have perfected
Anthony
it.
Barr, it was a defensive guy who had the idea. Anthony Barr for the tush push. And then Sirianni got a hold of it.
So smart dude.
Yeah, smart guy. Sirianni got a hold of it in Indy, brought it to Philly, and away we go. Brotherly shove, tush push. I would like to see, if they decide they want to keep it around, that's fine.
To see.
But I would like to see it change, just from the standpoint of, I want to see how Philly operates. I want to see how Philly operates without that at their disposal. Like, I'm curious to see what that does to them in short yardage situations, what their success rate goes down to, if anything, if they don't have this sit there as an option for them moving forward. So who knows? Maybe it'll get done.